So there was a question that I had on my desk yesterday that I didn't get to, so I'd like to start with that one because it's like straight up at a very nice practical level. It's a very brilliant woman. It was very practical and very, very connected in to the healing process. So when she was practicing energy healing herself, she was using the awareness from her head. She felt like her awareness emanates from her head, not from her heart. And she thinks she got that all straightened out, but she still wasn't sure. And sometimes she slips up. So I would like to say that there is a whole range or level of points from where we direct our awareness. Sometimes we direct it through the palms of our hands, right? And that there's a big neural network in the head and in the heart and in the gut. And sometimes healing situations require awareness being more gut-oriented awareness, sometimes more heart-oriented awareness, and sometimes more head-oriented awareness. So don't feel that you're doing it wrong. If your head feels very engaged, I remember having a similar experience recently where I felt like my head was almost, I was thinking so hard about something that I almost felt like my brain was like on fire or something. It was really, and I thought to myself, maybe I should think about this a little bit, put in a little heart value there so that my brain doesn't have to work so hard. So anyway, the beauty of this statement is that we have control. We have control over whether we direct attention from our crown chakra or our ajna chakra or our throat chakra or our heart chakra or solar plexus or the navel chakra or the root chakra. We have control. And that's really important. We can think of our bodies and our field of consciousness like a musical instrument, sort of, and you want to gain enough mastery over the instrument energetically that you can direct attention from any point. You can direct it out the point of your finger or out the point of your nose. Some people, some of my clients, they do this thing where they bless people with their eyes, and the energy that comes from the eyes comes out, and it just, you feel it's like, wow, right? It's like a kind of, so all the different organs of the body have this ability to direct attention, and each one has its own different quality or gift that it gives to the environment. So good question. She has like 3 questions and they're all just like so beautiful here. Okay, so I hope that helps answer that question. Oh, and the other part of that answer, sorry, is also we want to think about, am I directing my attention from a very deep level or a little more superficial level or more superficial? Like what level of, is it something coming off just the gross thought at the grossest level of my mind, or is it a more powerful thought deeper down? More powerful ones, you notice them, they're more like a staccato note in that they have like a bubble of silence around them. Just saying. All right. When we focus on layers of the subtle body, so that's what we were just talking about, right? Are we focusing on the parts of them that are inside our physical bodies? Or is it not that simple? I'm sorry, it's not that simple. We can take any single part of our body and put attention and see it in its physical, in its etheric, in the mental, emotional, astral, and causal. So any one part of the body, any organ, any one part has all those layers. Oh, and transcendent. Of course, every part has its source connection. That's one way of looking at it, is that that every organ of the body has that whole, owns and possesses that whole range of expression. However, usually when we're in these healing sessions and when we're working together with the various levels of the various strata of consciousness, my tendency is to address it more like an ocean, and that the more isolated or specific aspects of that range of subtle energy are the more specified ones that are more at the material, the grosser level, the denser level. And then the further down we go to the causal and the astral, the more we're working with something that's more expanded and abstract and present in every point in creation. Would you please talk about the difference between healing from source as opposed to trying to do it yourself? That's a great question. And how do you do it? And how do you know when you're doing it? Oh, that's a great question too. Okay, so the how do you heal from source, from self, and how do you know when you're doing it? That's something that we're covering. Oh, really? Oh, well, look at that. Focusing on different chakras, on yours, etc., seems opposite to surrendering to being, right? Or source to do the healing. Right. So the answer is there's no separation. The answer is there's no separation. It's all the self. It's all source. It's all source. But source, the source of creation, is dynamically engaged with what we know to be ourselves. In fact, the source of creation is literally, intimately, completely ourselves. I know we experience our bodies as these little separate entities that are separate from the next person, like that. But the reality is that what we do through our human physiologies, and I know the question comes up in some people's minds, yeah, but what about bad people who do bad things? But anyway, that's a different topic, which we've covered in the past, and we can come back to that if we need to, but I'd like to just stay on this one flow so it doesn't get too complicated. And that is that through us, source is able to do more. It is able to express more. It is able to be more. It is able to understand its own nature better by becoming more in greater and greater and finer detail, engaged and involved in everything that we do. And when we take on the activities of energy healing, we're engaging in a very subtle behavior or activity. And that is a really wonderful, like a bridge. It's kind of like a bridge activity for source, because normally what's happening is the source of creation, they say Brahman creates the creation and yet remains aloof from the creation, but then Brahman enters into the creation. So there's this principle that Brahman is able to create the creation and yet still witness that process, witness the creation, but then also enter into the creation. And again, we're at an abstract level of consciousness, right? So we're working with laws of nature that are a little different from the ones we work with at the surface. And as a result, sometimes the intellect is like, what? but in any event, the point here is, what's the difference between healing from source as opposed to healing for yourself? Well, to answer that question very simply, now that I've answered it in a complex manner, the simple answer is healing from the level of yourself, like small self, is like the leaf or the flower isn't as purple as I like, so I'm going to get out there with a paintbrush and paint it purple. And healing from source is moving from the gardener who knows to put the fertilizer and the water and get the right balance on the flower. So from the inside out, the plant itself, the nature, the laws of nature of the plant ensure that the petals are going to come out that nice, rich purple color. The point of this energy healing session is for all of us to increase everyone's ability who's here to be at the level of the gardener, at the level of nature's functioning, where the laws of nature are so well understood that the moves that we make are delicate moves. They're maybe not, right? Only Brahman is real. Brahm is the world. Ooh, that's a beautiful statement. We got hands raised up there because that's good stuff right there. You know it. You know it. You know it. So the answer is that the source is everything. And if you so choose to take an action, even a gross action, I mean, even an action on a very kind of superficial level, like say, something crops up in the skin and you decide to put a Band-Aid over it. That's also doing that. that's also doing that. But if something crops up from the inside of the body on the skin, like the petal of the flower, right, probably it would be smart to also attend to the blood, or attend to the diet, or attend to whatever it is that might have caused that bubble to crop up on the surface. So what we're doing in these healing sessions, these webinars, is we're digging into those fine laws of nature and mechanics and examining them very closely so that we can direct our attention in the simplest possible way, right? Because we want to take nature's path. We want to take the course of least action, but we want to do it where it needs to, we want to put it where it needs to go, so that as the healing process is occurring, our awareness is going into those areas of the physiology that really need the help. And it's doing so in a way that brings out, it nourishes and purifies and illuminates what's going on. Because the reason the body falls ill is the body wants us to look. Yeah, beautiful.